to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
And thank you so much, Anne, for joining the author's table. And I'm very happy that you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, excellent. Okay, Anne, so let's start with, in one word, describe your life as a published author.
One word. Okay. Surprising.
Surprising. Excellent.
Surprising.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good. Now, what encouraged you to become an author?
Well, I think I had told you this before. This is my first book, my memoir. And, all through my life, I've been an avid reader. And I guess I started writing stuff when I was a kid. But basically, this book, several reasons. It was done on a dare. My friends had been after me for years to write my life story. And also, some of my programs in Honduras were getting more expensive. And I thought, okay, well, if I write it, I can use the royalties to help support my kids' programs. And then COVID hit. And I was locked down in Honduras for 19 months. I didn't get to go back to Canada for a year and a half. And so I finished the book while I was here.
Wow. See how things work out?
Yep, absolutely.
I think too, during the epidemic, there were so many people that did the same thing. Before that, it's just like it took forever. But then during that time, everybody was at home. And so all the creativity started to fly because it's like, what else am I going to do?
The creative juices, right, exactly.
Yes, yes. Now, when you knew you wanted to write a book, what steps did you complete, or did it take to complete that book?
Well, because it was my life story, a little different than writing a novel, I think. I wasn't creating characters and things like that. And, at my advanced years, I'm going to be 83 tomorrow.
Well, you look great, Anne.
Thank you. You can remember what happened 70 years ago, but you have difficulty remembering what happened last week. So I used to leave pieces of paper around the cottage and my house here with pencils. And when I had a thought, remembered a story, I would write it down. And then around once a week, I'd collect all the scraps. And then I had an outline of the memoir in my computer because I knew it was kind of going to be in two parts, before Honduras and after Honduras, because my life changed drastically, of course, when I moved to Honduras. And so I put these, fitted into the spot it belonged in my outline. And that's the way I did. That's how I did it.
Very smart, though.
Yeah.
Because you're right, though. I mean, you think, how am I going to remember what happened, 20 years ago? I mean, it's
Exactly.
Oh, that was really good. That was really good. Now, for your cover, did you do your own thumbnail sketches, or did you have someone do them for you?
I designed that cover,
Nice.
and the title "I've Worn Many Hats" comes from the fact that I'm known as the Hat Lady,
Oh.
because and I mean, I know you haven't read my book, but I've got a little bit in there about when I was at American Airlines Stewardess College. So I was 21 back then. And I remember lying out by the swimming pool, sunning like we all did, no hat. And we didn't have sunscreen back in the 60s, so we weren't using sunscreen. And all of a sudden, this hand reached down and grabbed me and shook me and said, "Do you see those two girls down at the end of the pool?"
Oh, boy.
I looked and I said, "Yeah." And this was Kelly Flint that was asking me. Now, Kelly Flint was a retired actress who happened to be the instructor for cosmetics and stuff at American Airlines. And she was really old. She was in her late 50s. He said, "How old do you think they are?" And I said, I probably didn't have my glasses on, but I said, I don't know, around 30. She said, "They're 1 year older than you. And if you continue to lie in the sun without a hat, you're going to look like that. Your skin's going to look like that." So at 21, I started wearing a hat whenever I was out.
She
in the sun or
she
whatever, and I became known as the Hat Lady.
she put the fear in you, didn't she?
She put the fear of God into me. That's right.
Oh yeah.
We women are what's the word I want? Concerned about our appearance, I guess.
Well, well, it's so true though, because people don't realize skin cancer
Oh
is
yeah,
is very
yeah.
serious.
It is serious, and of course, back then, I'm talking the early '60s. Nobody thought about it. I
Right.
mean, we all used to be out in the sun. I remember as a teenager lying out in the sun. We used to put a mixture of baby oil and iodine on
Ooh.
as our tanning lotion.
Oh
You can
boy.
imagine.
Well, you think about then too. The commercials for cigarette smoking was huge too.
Yep, yep,
And it's like it was more of an image, but then the repercussions on that too. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Anyhow, I'm
yeah.
trying to instruct my daughter and my granddaughter to wear a hat. They pay attention to me sometimes, and
Well,
sometimes they don't.
they better listen, right, Ann?
Yeah.
Now, now, what was your process once you had your book completed? What was your process of like looking for a publisher, or are you a self-publisher?
I'm a self-published. There was never a question of me looking for a publisher. I didn't think who's going to want it, and I figured I could self-publish and make a little bit of money on it, and be able to support my Honduran programs. But I mean, it sold way more than I expected. I mean, as a self-publisher, I mean, I know that they say usually about 100 to 150 books if you self-publish. Well, I'm well over 1,000.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And I credit a lot of the authors that I've come in contact with over the last 2 years. I was one of these people who swore I would never go on Facebook. I'd go on Facebook over my dead body, is the way I used to think of it. And when I published the book, my daughter said to me, she said, "Mother, you have to go on Facebook. It's the only way you're going to market your book." So I did. And as I did that, I contacted many different authors. I just went through and scrolled down. When I found somebody was an author, I wrote them and friended them and that kind of thing. And these people were incredibly helpful to me over the past 2 years, not only in getting the book out there, but helping me in terms of publicity and doing blogs, doing things like you're doing with me today. And I really credit a lot of the success of the book to those people, plus just referrals, because I mean, people know I'm the woman who's in Honduras, and so there's a lot of people that know about that. So I think probably most of them bought the book as well. So hard to say, but I really, really am very pleased with the support that I continue to get from writers.
Fantastic. And I think that's the biggest key for self-publishers is marketing.
Absolutely.
Because if and the thing too is networking, like you just said. I mean, it's such a huge thing. You're your own entity, so you're the one that has to do all the footwork.
That's right. Well, it probably came kind of naturally to me. I mean, I spent my career in HR, in human resources. I owned a personnel agency in Toronto. And so, of course, that's sales.
Oh
That's,
yes,
definitely sales and putting yourself out there and making speeches and that
that's
kind of thing. So, I guess I kind of just used some of that skill that I'd had years ago when I was working.
and that's a big plus too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now your title of your book speaks for itself. Now it's called "I've Worn Many Hats," in which you said. Now it's a memoir. It's an inspirational story. It's about
Well,
forgiveness and redemption and moving on.
well, it is inspirational. Um, the inspiration, I think, how can I explain this? Well, I mean, people are inspired by what I do in Honduras, and that's fine. That's clear. That's on paper. But I think a lot of the inspirational aspects that I got letters about were women who read my book and who had suffered trauma in their life. For example, I don't think I sent this to you. I had, for example, one letter, oh, I think last summer, from a woman at a book club. And she said, you know, our book club read your book, blah, blah, blah. It was more than a normal memoir. We were inspired, blah, blah. But one of the ladies that was in that group who read it stepped forward and told her co-people in the book club, some of them she'd known for years, that she had been raped 5 years before and had never told anybody. And I mean, other than her family kind of thing. But that seems to be where some of the inspiration is coming from too, is people are identifying with what I went through and what I did and how I, you know, became this horrid person and rebel and all that stuff. And then I turned my life around when I came to Honduras. And they're finding that inspirational. You know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think I've had other authors that have gone through personal things as well. And there was one author that I spoke with, because she went through quite a bit herself, and she was given a lecture one time, and I told her, I said, you know, when you talk, you know, there is someone out there that you will reach, you know, that will not come forward on their own, so that they're going to need that little push to expose themselves to either get help or get some information on, you know, something that can help someone else too, because you never know who you're talking to.
That's right. That's right.
You know.
And this was what am I trying to say? A result of this book that I didn't expect. One of my neighbors had said to me when she was helping reading the draft and stuff like that, she said, you know, you're going to hear from a lot of women who have been through suicide attempts, who've been through abortions, who's been through rapes, the whole bit. And they're going to contact you and identify with you. And I said, oh, I don't think so. Nobody's going to want, you know, I mean,
oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, back in the 60s, when I was going through all this issue, rape was blame and shame. And there was no Olivia Benson of Law and Order SVU at that point, you know, on TV.
No.
And people just didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about it. And I mean, as far as the other stuff, I mean, my Lord, I mean, who's going to say I was in a psychiatric facility? And I mean, I think that's why I'm hearing from so many people about that, in addition to the talk about Honduras.
You know, yes. And I think too, it's so important that people can reach out to you, and let's say from 20 years from now, and I hope that you're still here.
I'm not going to be here then, dear. I'll be.
Yes, you will.
No,
But that's why I think it's so critical that they reach out to you, because there have been so many books out there that you can read it and say, I wish they were still here that I can talk to. You know, it's very critical.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I guess it just it's given people, I think what they've said and what I've said is closure.
Yes.
You know, if this is something they had buried and been living with for years and not talked to anybody, not seen it, you know, dealt with it,
yes,
then then that was a help, and I'm glad. You know.
Yes, that opened the door to them.
Yeah, open the door. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, and I think, you know, good or bad of experiences, you know, that I always say this, and everybody has a story to tell, regardless what it is. And
Yep.
and you, just like you just said, that it may not help. You may think that it's not going to help somebody, but it is, because that reaches out to every walk of life, and say, oh, I can relate to this woman, and that's how people can reach to you, and then talk, and then that helps them, you know, inside.
Yeah,
You know,
I think so.
yeah,
And what I'm hearing from some of these people is, not all of them, but some of them, is they went off in a bad direction as well. I mean, became totally wild and living risky lives. And I mean, that's what I did. And and they can identify with that. And so it's interesting. You're right. A
Yeah.
lot of different people.
Yes, and it's a good feeling that you're helping others too.
Well, it gave me closure too, Brad,
Yes.
because actually writing some of the experiences in my life that I went through, some of the trauma, but some of the bad things I did, and that I'm writing the story about it. Um, Writing it on paper made me own it, made me take a
Hmm.
look at it and deal with it. And somehow that gave me closure after all these years. And
Yes,
that was good. And so that was good for me.
it was actually a I don't want to say a treatment. I can't think of the word though, but it's
No, no, it's true.
yeah.
I remember, don't ask me how I remember her name, probably because it was over 60 years ago. That's why I remember her name. But I ended up at the end of all the stuff that went on in Toronto Psyche for 2 months. And I remember she was young, a young female psychiatrist, Dr. Marianne Livermore, how I remember her name now. And I remember her saying to me, because I was jetting off to Dallas to become a stewardess of American Airlines. And I remember her saying to me in one of our sessions before I left, she said, Ann, you're going to have to deal with this at some point. And if you don't talk to somebody, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, you're going to have to deal with this the rest of your life. And she's right. She's right. I mean, I
Hmm.
never dealt with it properly.
And you're dealing with people now that
Yeah,
have dealt with that for years.
exactly.
And I think that's just huge though, because it's you're not just writing about you, you're actually helping
No, no,
others too.
exactly.
And
What
I
I'm saying is it's possible to turn your life around.
yes,
I
that's
mean,
right.
the book wasn't written to be like that. I
Right.
mean, it's basically my story and it's supposed to be funny, which it is. And, but yeah, just all kinds of things came out of it.
Yeah. Now, now, what is your marketing strategy for your
Um,
book?
well, basically, I guess it was, I've done book clubs. I've been invited to do book clubs and signings. Um, I do blogs with people. They invite me to do blogs. Am I proactive in marketing? Probably not as much as I should be. I belong to 212 authors groups, believe it or
Oh
not.
my
This is
gosh.
for people who never wanted to do Facebook. And so on, and you saw what I did on
Yes.
the, now that poster that you did for me for today's talk went out to all of those groups on their pages.
Excellent.
And I got heard back and it sold books and it sold books.
Excellent. That's
And
good.
so, but I probably should do more, but quite frankly, I don't have the energy. And right now I'm concentrating on my three dental teams that are coming to Honduras and next month to um, do our children's dental program.
Oh, awesome. Excellent.
Yeah, well, that's really the only thing I do. I don't know whether you looked at my website. If you did, you can see the stuff that I do in Honduras.
Hmm.
But now I pretty much am just the orchestra leader. Um, I just don't have the energy to do it anymore. But I still am organizing the dental teams that come down. We started this program 16 years ago, I guess. Basically, a team of dentists and hygienists come down. The hygienists clean all the teeth of the kids in grade 3 to grade 6. And I've got two schools here in El Porvenir that we do that for. Plus, we do some orphanages. And then, if the child needs further treatment, they are sent up to the dental clinic, which we all founded that dental clinic, and the dentists work on them, and it's all free of charge for the families because, of course, they have no money. And dental dental education down here is pretty much zero
Yeah.
until we came along. Like the kids that we were seeing those first few years were just unbelievably horrible, their teeth. And as the years went by, things got better. Then COVID hit, and so I haven't had teams here in 4 years. Now, all the kids that were in my program that were grade 3, 4, 5, 6, have all gone on to high school.
Huh.
So we're starting with a whole new group of kids. And before I went back to Toronto last spring, we, and you'll see this on my website, we have a puppet play that we do visiting the dentist. So we presented that to the kids that are going to be in the program this year. And one little girl came up to me after the presentation, a kid in grade 3. She comes up, she grabs my thing. My mommy and daddy were in your program.
Oh man, how awesome is that though?
Isn't that cool?
Yes, it
So
is.
I don't know how much of that we're going to see. I was talking, we had a meeting on Skype, or whatever we call this stuff. Uh, I know, I'm so bad.
That's okay.
Um, on Friday, yesterday, and we were talking about it and saying, I don't know what condition the kids' teeth are going to be in. We may be back to square one in a lot of cases because, we're starting over again.
Yes, yes.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Oh, that's awesome though. Yeah, and if someone came up to you and asked you what is the process or how do I become an author, how would you explain that to them?
I don't know. I mean, I know the reasons that I did it.
Hmm.
I guess I would say now that self-publishing is out there, and doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to do it.
Right.
If you've got the desire to be an author or to write something, write it. Go ahead,
Yes.
do it, and see what happens. And get somebody who knows what they're doing to take a look at your draft.
Right.
Uh,
Yes. Now, did you have someone, Ann, that looked at like yours, the
well,
layout and everything, or?
well, in my case, because it was me talking, and this is what people have said that read the book. They said they felt like I was talking to them.
Hmm.
And so I was told that really it should be my words, and I don't need an editor to change the way I'm saying things because that's the way I would say things if I was talking to you. And because I was a grammar nut and I correct everything, I knew that that would be okay. But what I didn't expect was the formatting. Oh my
Oh.
God,
Hmm.
that is awful. And I didn't do that.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I had, um, I had the good luck that, of course, you know who Margaret Atwood is, the author,
Yes.
Margaret Atwood. Well, Peggy Atwood went to high school with me, and she didn't make the direct referral to me, but through a friend, referred me to a small company in London, Ontario, who I gave the job of formatting, and they were just fabulous. And so, I
That's
mean, but I
awesome.
couldn't have done that. But that's what you have to do is if you're going to write a book, you want to edit yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably you get somebody to do it, but
Yeah.
formatting for sure.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah,
Because you can have all the ideas and everything, but when it really comes down to putting a good book together, you have to have some type of structure, per
exactly.
se. Yeah. Now, do you have any events coming up, at book author events or?
No, no, no.
Okay. And what is your website, Ann? Please.
My website is Anne with an E dot honduranhope dot net.
Okay. And that's where people can learn about you and purchase your book
People, yeah,
is?
the a friend of mine who's been doing my stuff for years down here um, did it. So that's the website with all the stuff about Honduras, and it also has links to another interview that I did prior to publishing the book, and a link, just different links, but they can
Sure.
see at the top. But absolutely, it's called My Honduran Journey is what the website is about. It's just a whole lot of pictures with notes as to what we were doing, all the different all the different programs that we ran in education and eye doctors, ophthalmologists. I had down doing that. Um, I had a program called the Bee Bag Program. They were burlap. I wish I had one here I could show you. It was like, remember when they started saying you can't use plastic bags in the grocery stores and
Right.
everybody had to carry something else? So I did this as a fundraiser, and I had a woman who actually I saw yesterday for the first time in a number of years, um, who used to sew burlap bags, carry-all, and then another woman would do the artwork on it, and it was like cartoon artwork, stuff relating to anything really. And one side was in English, the other side was different, and it was in Spanish. And I sold those internationally actually as a fundraiser for raising money for children's uniforms, because I was very heavily involved with getting uniforms for the kids here in Porvenir at that point. And that program ran for, I thought it was only about 6 years, but Carla said to me yesterday, she said, no, we did it for 10 years.
Oh my
Now, I
gosh.
stopped doing it number of years ago, simply because I didn't have the energy to run it anymore. And I think it had had its day. I
Yeah.
still do bee bags all over the place. Um,
But
so, it worked out well. And what else did we do? So there's the eye program, the dental program, the education. Um, I have a bilingual school, Ann Fowler Bilingual School, which is run by my Honduran daughter, Iris, my best friend. Um, we do, I don't know, look at the look at the
yes,
website. I
I
can't
know.
remember everything that I
But
do.
what I found out though is that, and I think is so awesome, not just for the events that you're doing, but also all the proceeds for your books also goes and helps people that need it.
Well, the proceeds at this point from I've worn many hats. I use to put into my dental program, into school supplies, and just keeping things going down here.
That
You
that
know.
is that is fantastic, Ann. I mean that's huge. That's so wonderful. See,
Well,
without you, Ann.
I what?
I see. Without you, we need you.
Uh, well, I've been here. How many years? Somebody was saying I've spent a third of my life in Honduras, and it's true because I first came here in 1993 when I came on a medical brigade, and I was hooked after the first year. And then I moved here when I sold my company in 2000 uh, and retired. I came down here 6 months of the year, which is what I still do: 6 months, 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
six here, six back in Canada.
Canada.
And my God, it's 24 years, Brad.
Time goes, doesn't it?
30 years since I started here. Yeah, I mean, just amazing.
Yeah, but life is good though. I mean, I think what you're doing is, I mean, it's nobody can take that away, and you have to have such a great feeling of what you're doing, and I think people
Yeah,
love, it's got to be.
it is. Um, yeah, I feel I found my calling, if you want, with what I've been doing the past 20 years. And I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty
Yes,
happy with the way
and,
things turned out.
and I think you should be, and I think your book too is like, you know, you when you wrote the book, you're putting your life into it, the life that you had,
Hmm.
and I think that's once that book was done, it's like a closure because you completed what you really wanted to put out there,
Yeah,
you know.
it's there was I had some concerns about putting it all down on paper, how my kids would feel. I mean, it's not that they didn't know it, they did, but I wanted, you're right, it was closure and all the things that we said, but I also wanted my grandchildren to understand me because right now they're 12 and 15, and we're not in a situation yet where I can have chats with them and talk to them about this stuff. Hopefully, I can do it before I die. I know that Tristan was into my book. He snuck a copy from his mother and was starting to read it because they were both forbidden to read my book
Oh,
until
jeez.
they were older.
But
You know, If ever there was an incentive for a kid to get a book and read it, that was it.
But you see though how important that is,
Yeah,
because down the road they're going to look at that and say, "This is what my grandma was all about."
that's right. And that was precisely what I was thinking.
I think that speaks volumes by itself. I mean that's it's so critical though. That's why I say everybody has a story. It doesn't have to be the bestseller, or it's something that you feel that you want to do or need to do, and it's just part of other people getting a chance to understand you and to learn about you, and to reach out to ones without you knowing it, that I went through the same thing.
That's right. And it also, there's that aspect of it, but it also, because it basically told the story of Honduras and what's going on down here.
Hmm.
We've got international volunteers that come down here and help in our English programs, and it's encouraged people to come as a volunteer.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's working in a few ways.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, Ann, this has been a wonderful conversation. I learned so much about you, and I'm
I hope
so
you'll read the book.
yes. I'm open. I'm ready to read it. Um,
Okay.
um, but I like to say though is that I'm honored that you're here, and the fact that what you're doing is huge, because you're helping so many people, not just on your book level, but what you're doing for people in Honduras.
Thank you.
I
Thank
I,
you.
I mean
I
it's a pat on your back, because like I said, without you, then who would be doing it? You're doing it
Yeah,
because you
things
feel
have
it.
changed. Yeah,
Yeah,
things have changed a lot down here.
yeah.
That's for sure.
But you're doing it because you want to. It's not because you have to.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, I applaud you.
That's true.
Yes. And again, Anne, I wish you the very best, and please keep me in the loop of things.
I will.
And
And I appreciate you having me on today.
of
Is
course,
there any way that my kids can see this interview?
absolutely, I will send you the link tomorrow.
Okay, great.
I'll send you the whole thing, and they can watch it as well.
Okay, terrific. Thanks so much, Brad. I really appreciate your help, because you're helping me to be able to do this. And you asked me how I market the book. Well, talking to people.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're a team. We're a team.
Okay, thanks
Yeah.
very much, Brad.
You're very welcome. You have a wonderful day, Anne.
You too.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye bye.